We have all of the UAT guides for the open release 23 cycles on the page. So we have the cycle 1, which is the home page. We have release 23 cycle 2 referral integration. We'll have this one posted here by this afternoon. And then we have UAT release 23 cycle 3 customer profile. They're all pretty small. Just a final few things that we've got finished that we want you to look at. And then we're also going to be showing you the getting started assessment. It'll be the second time it goes through UAT. We've made updates from UAT. Plus, we have some feedback we got from state and locals that were made. And then we're going to open up the training and education assessment. Those will not open until Monday. We are finishing a few pieces of development up on those, but we want to show you those today. Because we cannot wait until Thursday to show you those and open them up. We need to get tested started on those sooner rather than later. I am not going to walk through the UAT guides, but I will give a refresher. So the guides are going to provide you, the first part of it gives you the overview, purpose, and homework expectations. Those are the same for all the UAT guides that give you the links for where you can log your information, the link to the tool, and the link to all the resources. So if you need the quick start guides or anything, you can do that. It gives you best practice information on how you should log your entries and who you can contact if you have issues, and our expectations for your participation in UAT. The second half of all of the guides will give you an overview of the specific UAT homework item. So this one is homepage. It gives you information on migration considerations, July 1 considerations, overviews of the tool and how they work, and some screenshots so you know you're in the right place. You can refer to those guides as you're going through your different activities. Oops, sorry. To make sure you are thinking about it and understand the context of the tools. And then some of these have additional resources as well. So we have the quick start guides, listed under all of these if you need to access those. These are step-by-step guides for how you use the various tools via UAT. We're going to spend most of our day today looking at the actual screens that you're going to be UATing. So the first one I have is the home page. So I'm going to pretend to be Rory. You can see that I'm looking at Rory. I am impersonating his login for this demo. As a super admin, my dashboard does not look anything like yours. I don't get some customers, all that fun stuff. So these counts have been cooked up. So when we assign customers either through the application or through the overview customer settings page, when a career planner is put on a customer, that then becomes their customer. That is where we're seeing that we've been assigned several customers. Yesterday, Lynette assigned a handful of customers to Rory. You can see that he was pinged that information, that his active participant count is now 5. When I click on that 5, I can see the 5 customers that have been assigned to him and their status. These are pulling from the dashboard. These are dashboard counts. There are currently no customers in these counts, but if you manipulate customer records in a way that would put some of them in there, you can get those counts to trigger. Some of them are a little complex to trigger, like customers nearing 30 days of no case notes. Those ones that are time bound can be hard to hit. With services right now, we do have the ability to manipulate services pretty extensively. We are adding a bunch of business logic to that, so that is getting locked down more and more. We had some business logic go out. This UAT push, we're going to have a lot more going out next UAT push. But these are pulling directly from the dashboard, filtered down to Rory's customers. You can see that we still have our quick nav toolbar here that mirrors what we have up here. Your resources, you guys can interact with those. We have majority of these hooked up. We are still hooking up the orientation video and the getting started packet. But you can go to e-policy, to service matrix, CTPO list. You can interact with your to-do items. You can add items here and click the plus button and it adds to it. You can remove them. You can check them on and off as needed. So you guys can test out this homepage. You will need to manipulate data to get things to trigger on here. And if you guys have any questions as you're doing that, you can always reach out to our team. So that is the homepage. You guys will not need to worry about impersonating anybody. When you log in, you're going to have the right access and roles. All you'll need to do is log into your account and click home, and you'll see everything that you need to see. We will be doing all of our, we will be doing all of our UAT testing in the IWDS UAT environment, same as last week. All right. Any questions on that before I jump us to our next UAT item? Okay, I'm gonna go down. Yeah.
I was just wondering when are we gonna see what like a super user dashboard looks like, or anybody who has other roles than career planner?
So if you have a role of like a system administrator, you're going to see that as well. So you're going to have your view. Well, actually, let me confirm with Lynette, and I will put that in the email. We have the roles established. I need to check with her on the roles and if those dashboard views are available. And we'll put that in our follow-up email to you all on if that can be part of testing or if that is coming soon. Lynette had to be on a call with DoIT this morning. They were at the same time as this, so she wasn't able to be on this call with us. Let me make a note to make sure to circle back to her on that. Okay, any other questions? All right. The next item we have is the referral integration. So I'm going to show you, we have two different referral items. So if you have a customer who is not enrolled in WIOA yet, they are only receiving self-information information only services, or they're just a customer record. Let me jump back here. When you come into their profile, you can see the referral and the participant summary tools. And from this space, you can send referrals. You'll see referrals that they've received. Oh, hold on. We're still syncing up the workNet accounts to our migrated customers. That's required. That's thrown an error for our referral piece. Absolutely. Okay, stand by. So you can, if you guys have been introduced to the universal referral system, this is integrated into IWDS 2.0. It uses the same universal referral system back end. It is all one system. We've just integrated it into IWDS 2.0 so that you don't have to go to that universal referral system to send referrals. You can do so directly within this page. You can pick the type of, we're going to say, you can search, so the list is long, so you can use the text to type in what you're wanting to refer them for. You can select it, and then you can pick. Based on the service you pick, it's going to tell you the locations near you that offer those referrals. So within 5 miles, 5 to 10 miles, more than 15 miles, you can see either further away. You can then select to do that referral. You can see that it's not sent. We are identifying the referrals we want to send, and then we can come in here. We have to make sure we have the customer's consent to send their information for a referral. When that has happened, we can then edit the referral to identify that we want to get that sent on, and it will send the referral. Go back to the referral page. I can now see that it's sent. I have some screenshots here from a presentation I was working on. Here, oops. The referral page here will update. So as those referrals are engaged with by the referred entity, the entity was referred to, it will update in IWDS so you can track the progress of those referrals. And then as they're engaged on our end and updated in our referral system, we will also update those too. So if they're incoming, you can update those statuses. If you guys are not familiar with the workings of the referral system, there was a micro teach on the universal referral system that I recommend that you guys watch. These tools are powered by that same referral system. They use all of the same functionality that is in the universal referral system. The other piece to this is, so this is for non-enrolled customers. For enrolled customers, we can, let me add a service here. I'm going to add a couple of things here because I'm going to also trigger the training assessment for when we get to that piece. So I'm going to add my step for participating in training. And I'm going to add a step for support services. And I'm going to go and add my services. So I'll add that occupational one. And then I'm going to also add the linkage to community service referrals. And then, so for my linkage to community service and referrals, I don't believe I haven't built a relationship here though, but I can refer this service. So we're going to do the transportation one again. So this customer is enrolled and I'm referring them for transportation passes and vouchers. I can input that in here. And what we have doing now is it is going to auto-populate them as a supplier. And then I can see right here that it's attaching that referral to my enrolling service. So I can fill out the rest of this enrolling service. I would expect to see my LWIA here. I just don't have the relationship built in the UAT environment. I'll get that built for you all. But I would be able to put my LWIA here as a providing entity. This is a supplier for this referral service. They were referred for the public transportation passes and voucher. I was doing this as part of this worker because they were co-enrolled, and with it being a single same-day service, I just have to enter in the start date. We're working on some UI here. This is going to display before I can even add services moving forward. This customer has not completed the getting started assessment, so they need to do that before they can build up a career plan. We're going to move this to a higher level view so that you guys aren't getting to this point and realizing this. We can see this clearly before we even start building services. We're going to demo the GSA too, so we'll unblock this here in a bit, but you can also, as you can see, use the same referral features to attach the referrals to our community service and referrals. Also, if you have support services that you are funding, but then they have to go somewhere else to actually like receive the whatever it is they're needing, you can use the referral system in that way as well. So you can see if it's like a transportation and you're providing that transportation service, but you need them to go somewhere to actually pick up the voucher or whatever it is. You can use the referral piece to tie that information to those services so that it's very clear to the receiving entity that they have somebody coming to receive something and what it is. So those are the two ways that we can refer services. We'll get entity management updated in UAT so we have more relationships built so that we see those providing entities on the services. We just got a UAT push out. So when we did that, we cleared out the database because we had some structural changes to our CEDAR and migration mapping, but we'll get those updated. I'm checking the chat. Anybody have any questions on the piece I just showed? You can see that for Barbie Builder, I have tested a lot of referrals. Okay. So the next piece we have is, make sure I'm getting to the right place. Customer profile. Andy, I see you're on. Did you want to demo this or do you want me to go through this? Okay, I will go through this. So one of the new pieces that we have is we have expanded some of the here. Ruby. We have expanded on the customer profile. If you scroll down towards the bottom, you have customer information. This has been, you guys have looked at this. This is a smaller thing that we'll be looking at. We're actually going to do a UAT push specifically for this item. We have a few things we want to get pushed out to clean up. So that's why I'm showing you in staging. After this call, we're going to push to UAT, so you guys will see it when you go into test. We have added some additional fields to the edit customer information page. So originally we just had the few that were required as part of creating a customer record. Now that we have the application and the GSA, there were a few additional fields we have added to the view and edit screens so that you can see those pieces of information. So you can now edit accommodations and view accommodations that the customer had identified that was not originally showing. We have the accommodations report showing here under this accommodations piece. If they might say they don't have any accommodations at first, but if that changes, you can always go in and edit their accommodation needs. Additionally, we have added a view for their social security number and selective service number. And we have expanded the veteran information as well for people who are veteran. So you can edit accommodation information as needed. You can edit all the other personal information that was already editable here. But we have also added in, if they're a veteran, you have the ability to edit this information. It will auto sync with the GSA soon. We don't have that piece connected. That's being developed, but as the part of the getting started assessment, if they are a veteran, they will fill all this information out. And then that will auto update into the profile for view after that GSA is completed. And then if any of that information needs to be edited for any reason, you can do so here. And then the social security number, we are working on updating this as well. It will show masked. It's not going to show the full SSN for all users. They're currently getting that address as part of the current push. And then if you do change the SSN, and the re-entry one no longer matches, it will let us know. We have to enter that 2 times to make sure both match before it can save. Sexual orientation is now required. This was a migrated customer, and please keep in mind that all the migrated customers, we obfuscate their PII, so it's all fake PII that we're bringing over as it relates to like phone numbers, emails, and SSN, and we mix their last name up. So all that information is now updated. Just take this out, save it. And then we have that in the view as well. Additionally, we have the additional contacts that was already tested as part of the original push. We do want to preface that we have cards taking place they're active to update the customer profile with application data upon certification and upon the completion of the GSA. Right now, we're not auto updating that. So if you do change things in intake, you will not see them change on the customer profile until later next week. So we're not asking you to test that. We're really just looking here that you now have a few additional fields on the customer profile view and edit page that were not previously there. Does anybody have any questions on that? All right, so those are the 3 open UAT items that are available for you to test. The customer profile, we're going to get a few updates pushed out to it right after this call. Our developer is going to push specifically those customer information updates into UAT. It'll be very minimal update and minimal disruption to the UAT environment. You probably won't know unless you're actually in on an edit view of the customer information screen. The next pieces we are going to look at are going to be UAT items that will become available on Monday, but we are showing you now, and you can refer back to this recording as needed, and then we'll get the UAT guides and stuff updated. We'll send out an email on Monday when this information is available on UAT, and you guys can disseminate it to your additional staff that you would like to participate in this round of UAT for the Getting Started assessment and the training and education assessment. All right, so I have a customer, they have completed the application. It's been signed, certified. You do have to have the customer put through so that we can do the Getting Started assessment. So the Getting Started assessment, you guys have looked at before, but we have made some updates to this. If you guys have questions, let me know. But I'm going to go through this for the sake of time. I want to make sure we have ample time for the TEA 2, the training and education assessment. So we have our introduction page. We're pulling in a lot of overview information that we had pulled in from intake. Their job preferences, goal information, education information, and employment information. Then we have our job preference page. So some of these questions, most of these questions are dynamic. So just because you're seeing them today does not mean you will see them always. Based on how I've answered intake and how I answer some of these questions, this may change a little bit. The job preference page was added as a way for us to have conversations on program expectations and suitability before we enroll them into the program. So this job preference page is critical to make sure that WIO is going to be able to serve the customer in the way they're wanting to be served by understanding what their job preferences are. We'll talk about their goals to make sure their goals align with what WIO can help them achieve. These first set of pages we refer to as like the first part of the getting started assessment. You have to complete all of these before they can be enrolled into the initial and comprehensive assessment services for adult and dislocated worker. The second part of this is looking more at support service needs. We do have development still taking place. That is why this is not going to be ready until Monday. One of the biggest pieces that is happening is making a lot of these fields required. So you're going to see that none of them have asterisks. We have identified a set of the questions that are required to be answered for each of the pages. That is the biggest piece that's still happening. We're also have moved all the questions out of additional demographics into other pages, and the additional demographics page will go away. So we're going to go through here. We have the type of employment position they're interested in. They can, pick what they need here. This is completed by the career planner with the customer, the type of shifts they're interested in working, desired salary range, what kind of employment benefits are you interested in? How far are you willing to get to work or school? What steps have you taken? So a lot of these questions have also been expanded to add things like I haven't taken any. So like these don't apply to me. I haven't taken any, things like that to several of the questions. What types of jobs have you thought about pursuing? Do you want help in any of the areas, these following areas? We have a question about a drug test and if they would be willing to take one if it was required. Driver's license question. Again, this is another situation where we've added, like, none of these apply to me, I prefer not to answer. So we've expanded some of these answer options. A lot of our free text questions, like what else about this is going to be changed to job preferences. We noted that. A lot of these questions are going to be optional. These will not end up with the red asterisks, but a lot of our questions that are like yes, no, or pick a radio button or a drop down will be required. Then we have our skills assessment. So this is where we can do the interest profiler. You can see this customer already has one. It was completed on June 10th. Can view the results of their profiler, and I can also view the careers that match based on how they answered. See the percentage matching. This helps drive conversation around occupational alignment for the customer based on their interests, and can help us start to have a more targeted conversation around the occupation they're interested in and ensuring it's going to be a good fit, so that we can have further conversations around making sure they're in demand and can be supported, especially if they're wanting to go to training. Then we get into a lot of the co-enrolled partner program questions. Or I'm sorry, those were not a lot. That's coming on a different page. These are just a few of them that have been moved up to this page. Then we get into our goals. So this customer did not have a specific goal, a career in mind. If they would have had a specific career in mind, we would be confirming, like you said, the student intake was what you're working for is still what you're working for. If they say yes, good, that's the occupation we're holding here. If they say no, then they are presented with this question to figure out, maybe things have changed since we had that skills assessment. And we've had that conversation. We now see that we're maybe better aligned for a different kind of occupation, where what we thought the occupation might look like and be a really good fit for us after we took some time to explore it, we realized that wasn't the case. And now we're realigning. So this is really just that confirmation of, if they don't know, trying to get that drilled down. If they do know, we're confirming that's still the case. If they're still not sure at this point, there's the I'm not sure option. When we do have an occupation identified, we are pulling in the occupational outlook page that has information on what they would do, what the job what it would look like on the job, wages specific to Illinois and Illinois specific employment outlooks. Then we have knowledge, skills, abilities, technology, education, related careers, values, activities, and personality matches. That page should be reviewed as we are having conversations about potential restrictions and work requirements. One of the things we're doing on this page is making sure that there are no potential restrictions that could prevent the customer from moving forward with this. We don't want to enroll them if they're set on a specific occupation, but they're not going to be able to do that. The truck driver, but they have, 4 DUIs. Even if we get them through training, getting them a job is going to be difficult, or maybe there is the long haul driving requirement, and being away from family for long periods of time is not something that they will be able to do based on their family needs. So we need to make sure we're having these conversations sooner rather than later, before they move to being enrolled into WIOA. So we have questions here. Have you discussed potential restrictions and work requirements with the customer? This is a necessary step. If we say no, we do flag that the career planner needs to be doing that to move forward. If any work requirements are identified, we can flag those, and then we can explain how those, what was identified. If there's none, that question's not asked. They asked if they'd be willing to get education or training. We're still working with the state to get some prompt text here to provide to career planners. And then we have them confirm goal. And then we have some open-ended questions here, so we can learn a little bit more about what motivates them and how they, what else we want to know about their goals, so we can help them plan. And then any other career planner notes or observations. Next is the education history page. So if it was a youth completing this, Barbie is an adult participated worker. Or no, I think Barbie is just an adult. If it was a youth completing this, then they would have already answered questions regarding education. So those would display here, and they would not see the "Are you currently in school?" question. They'd already answered it. Because my customer has not answered it, they're seeing this question here. There are sub questions if they are in school. We have the ability to add credentials. And then now we're seeing most of the co-enrolled partner program questions. Then we have is there anything else you want to share? And the career planner notes on an observation question at the end. Then we get into employment history. Okay, so Barbie was a dislocated worker. So Barbie's dislocation job was from Kroger Fuel Center. You can see that it auto-populated that here as a previous job. You can add more jobs, and then you collect work history based on, you can collect information about the skills that they had from previous work history. It pulls in the name of the employer. If they had multiple employers, it would say you worked at ABC Trucking and Kroger Fuel Center. So it lists all the jobs that they had added in here. I see I have some questions coming in the chat, so I'm going to pause after this page and jump over to those. We have some additional open-ended questions to learn a little bit more about their employment history and experiences. We have this IDS system check question. So we have a link to Illinois Job Link and instructions for how you can determine enrollment in Illinois Job Link for Wagner, Kaiser, and DBOP. We're looking at if the lever question should be included. This may go away. If it doesn't, we'll have more instruction on that here. If the customer provided their social security number, this question will present differently, letting the career planner know that we will be syncing to auto answer that question. If we have already synced by the time they do this GSA, that question will be auto answered and they will not be asked. They will not have to go in and look that up. So if there's no SSN, that's something they can go in IJL and look up. If an SSN has been provided, it's optional if the career planner wants to do it or not, because we'll have a sync between us and IDES that can help provide that information. If the sync's already happened, we'll just display the results on this page. So there's 3 ways this question can display on the page based on SSN and status of sync. Before I go, well, actually, I'm going to talk about the next page and look at the questions. So the next page is the ready to enroll. So the adults and dislocated workers will see this page to confirm they are ready to enroll before moving forward with this assessment. At any point in time during these previous pages, we had this end assessment button that would allow us to stop the assessment and not move forward with enrolling the end customer. By ending the assessment, we're going to close the application and the customer will be done. So this would be if we found that they weren't a good fit, or during this conversation, the customer decided they didn't want to move forward. WIOA, we're not on the hook for the customer as a WIOA participant until we click continue and enroll. Once we click that, they're going to be they're going to have the initial and the comprehensive assessment services added to their career plan, marked as complete. That logic is still currently being developed to auto add those assessments. I believe it's in staging, but it will automatically enroll them by the time we go live. Moving past this page, they're going to be enrolled in youth will not see this page. Youth can complete this assessment and is not an enrolling service for youth. So youth will just complete the first part, and after they get done with the employment history page, it'll open up to the second part of the assessment. Youth will not be enrolled until they get an enrolling service is added to their career plan by their planner. All right, let me scroll up and see our questions here. Thaddeus, I don't believe so. It is part of the allowable assessment pieces for youth that can happen prior to enrolling them. I will pass this along to the TA team so that they can review this and follow up.
Okay, thanks. Just wanted to make sure.
I'm gonna note that now.
Thank you.
All right, the next question. Do we need an MVR for the CDL customers? I don't know what that means. Karen.
Motor vehicle.
It's a motor vehicle record. Sorry.
An abstract of their driving record.
Yes.
I don't know the answer to that. Is that something you guys are required to do now?
I mean, were you asking, is that, will the system, will that screen? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't mean to speak for you. I just was asking, because I was kind of understanding, would that screen require us to do that as we're doing like a checklist of like job readiness and appropriateness? I think, was that what you were asking?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm asking.
The system will not require that. Where did that page go?
Because that is a practice, at least that's a practice in LWIA 7 that we use when we're working with the customer.
Yeah, we do
So,
that also.
Yeah,
We actually
Um,
have, we make them get their DOT physical too
Yeah.
before we enroll them.
yes,
So you probably continue it as a practice, but I don't know if it's required.
yeah. That was
Yeah.
really the heart of the question with us moving to IWDS.
the system will not require that you do that and document it in the system.
Okay, but we can keep it as a practice in assessing suitability
Let
as a
me
question.
put that over to the TA team because I'm
That
not
is
sure the
actually
answer to
going to
that.
be a requirement that they do continue to collect those documents for LWIS
Great.
7 before. No, even with the system not requiring it, it is still a
Mhm.
practice for the network. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much.
And you said the locals will require that they get their motor vehicle registration and what else? Some
Police,
kind of physical?
the motor vehicle record, just so
Uh,
that we can confirm it before even putting customers into training for CDL. The idea is just to confirm that they have potentials for actually being employed. So we use the MVR report before doing any ITAs training because that helps us to determine if you can't get if your MVR is off, then it doesn't matter if you get a CDL because then your chances for being hired may be reduced.
Absolutely.
And we're saying before training, not before enrolling and
Correct.
providing
Correct.
service.
Correct.
If
Correct.
somebody
Yeah.
has a
Not
DUI on their record or something that a trucking company is going to be like, the trucking school
okay.
may have admitted you.
exactly.
We're not
It's
going to
about
hire
employment
you.
outcomes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Perfect. Sorry, I misunderstood and thought you meant before enrolling, and I know the state is trying to move away from any extra steps for enrolling. But if we're saying before starting training, I think that's different.
Yeah, I think this would be appropriate topics for the training assessment section as opposed to the getting starting assessment.
It is discussed again in the TEA. We'll see that we have some of this in the TEA and can get more into the nitty gritty of that kind of stuff again in the training. This is to give us an understanding of if we know right out of the gate they're not going to be a good fit and they're refusing to pivot occupations, we might not be able to help them
Mhm.
and we shouldn't even enroll them. So we're gonna look at the TEA next, but I think you're spot on, and there are spaces in both to have the appropriate conversations.
Thank you.
The next question's kind of long, so give me a second to read it. So are you saying a review of the finished GSA or a review of all the GSA questions that could possibly be answered before they're answered, Crystal?
I'm saying after your person has done it, there's
Yes.
no way to look through it other than to page through. And as people are learning, of course, the questions are different. So
Yeah.
knowing where to go to find something is super difficult. And this especially came up when somebody was asking about people who enter through the self-service portal and what is going to be available to be reviewed quickly without having to page through every single page.
Yes. We can, we'll add. I'm typing a message. We can add a summary page to the GSA. We have it at the end of the pre-screening application and TEA. I was just pinging Lynette to see if that is going to be part of what we get out for Monday, or if that is coming soon functionality. At the end of the assessment, I'll show you guys when we look at the TEA, but it is a review of a summary of all of the pages and how they answered. That could easily be the first place we go for review. And then, like you said, it could be printed out too to have at a glance.
Yeah.
At this time, we don't have a way to like review all data that would pull in the pre-screening application, GSA, other assessments, and TEA. But that is something that Gina mentioned to me, and I flagged for a future enhancement as a like customer application review page.
Right. I was thinking that also would be a nice feature for monitors too. They're gonna want everything in one spot instead of having to go through every individual screen. I'm just throwing that out there.
Mhm. Perfect.
Yeah, and so the career planner can see like what did they answer already, how much detail, even if they answered something, did they answer it in a lot of detail, or should I go back and maybe prod a little more? This looks like it could be something we really should be discussing in more detail than the customer might realize, something like that. So it'd be nice to have just like a summary.
Mhm. Yep, we'll get that summary added to that. We can have the summary page on the GSA soon, but like a comprehensive summary will be a future enhancement. The next question is, can you remind me what the I'm not sure button does? So when they click I'm not sure, it gives additional information. Not sure that's okay. Some considerations, and then it pulls in a collection of intake data specific to how they might need assistance in various areas to get any kind of employment. Maybe they're not even wanting the training services, but there might be career services that we could offer, and then help with support in various ways, whether it's guidance or referrals. Excuse me. So if you click I'm not sure, you're just given more information, and you can either continue and enroll, end assessment, or send a referral.
Thanks. I was just
They're
curious
not on the hook until we click continue to enroll.
because I didn't know if that could be, I guess it could be both. It could be, is the customer, when you're the career planner, it's like, well, the customer is kind of indicating to me that they're not sure, or it could be used if the career planner themselves is not sure if they should be moving forward with the customer. So this is nice. It's like a little, like a, hey, go back and like a checklist thing here.
Yes, so you can also if you can also say, let's schedule another appointment to finish to come back to this. So maybe we need to, like, we're not sure, the customer's not sure if they want to do this. You don't have to click enroll and move on with this GSA that day. You can say, great, let's schedule another appointment. You think about it, or you do whatever needs to be done to make decisions from both the customer and the career planner side. The customer is not on the hook till we click that button. So if we need a day or two to pass so we can think about it, or we can get necessary information to make decisions, that is also an option if you're not sure at this time. I'm gonna go through, we're getting close to about 30 minutes, and I still have the entire TEA to go through. So I'm gonna zoom through these next couple questions and screens, so I can give you guys plenty of time to see the next piece. If the participant is certified as 1A and 1Y, do we have to select 1A certification to be inactive? So it doesn't automatically enroll them. No, the system will. If you have them co-enrolled, we are going to require a change in policy is going to be that youth have to be certified before you can do the assessment or create the initial IEP. This will help ensure that we don't end up with findings because we have somebody who is potentially eligible for youth, and then you do the assessment and then never enroll them in youth, but they didn't get the enrolling services because they were adult. So youth will have to be certified before we can even do the GSA or create an IEP. When somebody is certified as both adult and youth, the system will override and use the youth logic. So if both are active, we're not going to show the ready to enroll page. They're going to be treated like a youth. Youth do not have to, these assessments are not considered enrolling services for the youth.
Perfect.
If you inactivate youth and all that is active is adult, then they will be treated like an adult.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
And you guys will see that kind of logic for what the system is using on the intake. This will look different for a youth. It will have the assessment and IEP stacked double here before enroll in service. We have a card to add the GSA here for adult and dislocated worker. For youth, it's the GSA and the Create a Universal Career Plan. I misspoke. I said IEP, and that was even wrong for youth. The Getting Started assessment and Create Universal Career Plan will be like stacked, so either can happen, and that is how you will know the system is using the youth logic, is the fact that it'll stack those and not be a linear flow like adult and dislocated worker. Yes, so now we are going to look at, so when we click continue to enroll, the assessment has been marked as ready to enroll. Behind the scenes, it's going to be adding the enrolling services. And now it opens up the second set of pages. I'm going to go kind of quickly through these pages. They're dynamic. You guys have kind of seen them before, probably seen them if you've been through training. They're asking additional questions based on how they've answered intake. If they have additional needs for transportation, health, then transportation, child care, independent care, legal needs, money needs. And we have this sheet built. We need to get it hooked up. Right now it's a to-do. We're going to wire up the expense worksheet. It is optional at this time. If they need to do it, they can, but they don't have to. Then we have the veteran information. Then this additional demographic page is going to go away by the time you guys look at it. And then we'll work on getting a summary page added in here that will provide a summary review of everything they've answered with the complete assessment button. And that is the GSA. We will send an email out when this is ready for you guys to test, so that you guys can get in and play around with it. The other one, because I built out Barbie with a training goal, she triggered a required assessment of the training and education assessment. We are also working on building the work-based learning assessment, which is a pared down version of the training and education assessment, but specific to assessing their them going into a work-based learning. There are fewer pages on the work-based learning. There's fewer things that are required to be reviewed before starting a work-based learning than a training. But for this training and education assessment, we start with the career and interest choice page. It is pulling in again the skills and interest. We are still working to map a few of these questions so we can map this to the GSA, where it's looking at the occupation they've chosen. So it can auto-populate some of the data we already know. Again, this is where we can have the more detailed conversation around, like, if they're a CDL driver, okay, so we want to pull in some of the information again that we've already had around these restrictions. And then if you need to collect more of that information, this is your place to do that, like that motor vehicle record. All of that kind of information can be done as part of the training and education assessment, because this has to be done before they can move into training. So this could be where you're getting those motor vehicle records, making sure that they meet the requirements for this occupation to help you, your career planners answer, yes, they meet the requirements. Maybe they do meet the maybe you do want to move forward, but they don't quite meet the requirements, but there are services that you could provide to help them get there. You can document that as well. Or if they flat out don't meet the requirements, or if you have not had the conversation, it's flagging that you have to have that conversation before you can move forward and determine how you're going to work through those. Then we have the space to document the job related skills or credentials the participant is missing and how this job training will help them get that. That is the rationale behind why we're putting them into a training program. So that is where we could use this text area. Right now it is on one specific job interest. It would be their primary. They might have be like, I want to really want to be a construction manager, but I don't know all the construction terms, but maybe, build lead or something would be suitable too. We're gonna want to go with their primary, that they're gonna want to get training for. Like what is the job they want to move forward with training on is what we need to be identifying.
But if they mind, like, you could always just go back and then just select another occupation and then open up the labor market information for that. Like they could, if you had to, and then I imagine you could just go back and pick a different one. Just do the same page like over again, but like pick a different job where it says construction.
Yeah, why would you be picking a different job? Because I might have a different solution. Like if their job and training don't match.
Yeah, like if they decide they want to explore training for a different job.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to actually show you what happens when we start to see misalignment and how the system helps us realign. So maybe they think they want to be construction manager or whatever. Uh-oh, my mouse is slowing down on me. My batteries must be giving out. So does the well, the first thing it does is it's going to tell us if the occupation is in demand. If the occupation is not in demand, it's going to actually flag it on the previous page when we pick that. Say, hey, just FYI, this is not a demand occupation. You can still move forward with it because on this page, if it is not in demand, we're going to get a question that says, hey, this is not an in-demand job. Are you going to move forward with to petition a local waiver for this job? If they say no, they cannot move forward. If they say yes, they will be able to move forward with doing this. And then additionally, we're bringing in some employment expectations from intake. So they're looking for a job that is full-time and offers a remote and hybrid work, day shifts with flexible hours. Again, we're bringing in that occupation page so you can use that to have those conversations. We're also linking to the IWDS Help Wanted online so we can see employment outlooks. This is the Help Wanted online pages. The employment outlook is embedded in our page. But based on the outlook and occupation, does this align with what the customer is looking for? So we might have this conversation and they decide, no, it doesn't align. And that's okay. We want to answer this question honestly. Then we always get asked. So there's a lot of alignment questions on both the occupation and the training program. Does it align with expectations? Yes, no. If no, does the customer still want to move forward despite this misalignment? If yes, we have to explain why they decided to move forward. And then if we pick no, we're going to be prompted to find a new occupation and it'll take us back here, clear this out, and let us start over. So, Rory, if the system will help that flow. If we say yes, it aligns, we just keep moving forward. The next thing it does is it displays the customer's desired salary range. Does the average wage for this align? So outlook, occupation, and then wage alignment, same thing. Does it align? If it doesn't, do they want to move forward? Yes, no. The same concept is embedded throughout several of these questions. at both the occupation and training program level. Right now, it's on the occupation. As we move forward, we'll start looking more at training or occupation. So the next piece is the picking a training program. So my test customer, I did not bookmark any training programs. If the customer would have bookmarked training programs they were interested in, we would be able to see those and have those conversations. We have 3 ways we can choose to move forward with exploring the ETPL. They can print out a form to complete that the customer can use to complete on their own. You can explore it together now, and it will open up the training program search for that conversation to happen in real time with the customer and the career planner. Once they can also email a link to the customer to explore this on their own. Then we are confirming that the full state ETPL was discussed and provided to the customer. This is a required policy piece. And then if it's not, we say, hey, you need to make sure you're doing this. This is required federally that is happening. And then we pick the training program they are interested in it. And then we identify the location the customer will participate at. This only has one location, so it auto defaulted to that location. If there are multiple, we're going to pick which one the customer would participate at. This helps us to ensure that the like weight or the range, the distance alignment can be mapped and reviewed as part of this discussion. Once we have a training program identified, we start pulling in information on that training program that we can compare against intake data for the customers, what the customer is looking for. So does the training program align to the customer selected occupation? These are not a one-to-one match of our codes. If it was a one-to-one match, like this had construction manager as was identified by the training program, this would auto answer this yes. If it's not a one-to-one match, it is upon the career planner's best judgment to answer this. The training programs are not going to put every single possible occupation that could come from this training program into their program when they enter this into the ETPL. But they will put a handful, and if we match on any of them, we'll auto answer, but then it's up to the career planner to say, does this make sense, right? We need to use our best judgment. Are we putting them in a training program that is going to help them get the job they want? If we say no, we get this, you have to pick a new training program. It'll clear out the training program and you have to pick. It's important that they're going into a training that's going to align to the occupation they've identified. Then we have the question about the local ITA policy. And then we have to define why this training program was selected for the customer. So now the rationale for why this specific program was selected. Then we move on to understanding training costs and financial aid. So this is all pulled from the program that was provided, the information they entered in here, and then additional information they entered. This customer did not do a family income calculator. If they would have, we would display this here. Then we have questions. Has the customer applied for financial aid? When we say no, we just say, hey, a discussion has to be had that WIOA is essentially the funding of last resort. Make sure the customer is aware of this up front. Has the customer, like what types of financial aid has the customer previously received? Have you discussed the cost WIOA will cover and the remaining costs with the customer? This is another one. If we say no, saying, hey, you need to make sure these conversations are happening. This is really important that we're setting expectations up front. That is why we have these red messages when these conversations aren't happening, so that the customer goes into training eyes wide open, knowing the financial piece of this as well. And then a question of if the customer wants assistance applying for financial aid, this can help us recommend services. Checking reading and math. So first we look, do they have an exemption? There's a list here of possible exemption reasons. If they pick an exemption reason, we can upload documentation. If they do not meet an exemption, you can add assessments. It's filtered down to the approved assessment listing. You can add those results in. And it will get those logged. Then we have additional program entry information from the training provider. This one didn't have any data entered in. We're still working on migrating that. I don't know if that is a migration issue or they really just didn't enter anything in. And then our final check here is making sure they meet the entry level requirements before they move forward. Then we move on to plan your transportation. So now we're planning some of these areas where we might have identified that they need extra support. So it's looking at the distance comparison. Up to 25 miles is how far they were willing to travel. This is only 8 miles away. And so it's within the distance. If they would be outside of the distance, so if it would have been like 26 miles or whatever, we would say, okay, this distance doesn't align. Does the customer still want to move forward? Yes, no. If yes, please explain why. If no, we get that message that prompts us to pick a different training program. Next, we have the plan your child care and family support needs. We pull in information from the training program regarding the structure and schedule, so we can have the conversations to make sure that the structure and schedule are going to align with any childcare, dependent care, or family needs that they have, so that they, again, are going into this knowing what that schedule and structure are going to look like. This is another one of these where if we say no, we get this tree of questions. Are they willing to move forward? If not, do they want to pick a different training program or occupation? That will prompt the right red message to take us back to the right page to realign. They do want to move forward, we explain why. Again, we want to answer these questions honestly. By saying no, it's not a hard stop. It's just making sure that we're documenting when things don't align, why we're still moving forward. If they do align, great. We're not moving forward with more questions. This one is looking, this is where they're going to do their budget worksheet. Make sure that they're going to be able to financially support themselves during training. And then we have the question based on the information, do they feel like they're able to financially manage training this time? And then this is the page will get added to the GSA. This is a summary and training approval page. Essentially, it summarizes how they've entered all these pages, answered all these pages with quick buttons to jump back to those pages if you need to change something based on your review. And then at the very bottom, we have to give our final recommendation. And this will be a required question. And then if this was a not in demand occupation that we had to put in front of the local board for a petition, there will be an additional question that petition has to be approved before they can move forward. Because again, we cannot put them into a training for a job that is not in demand or has not received a waiver via petition. So there is an additional question for those niche cases where we have to go to the board and petition for an occupation being added to the demand occupation list. Once all that is done, then we can click approve. This assessment will be completed and the training service will now be opened and you can get it started because we've done our necessary pre-work before putting the training. Perfect. I don't see any additional questions in the chat. Does anybody have any questions on what we just?
Olivia, when will our career planners who are working the personas, will they start seeing some of these changes immediately?
We will not be pushing these out to the Do It environment where training is taking place until later. These will be available in UAT on Monday. We'll get an email sent out to you and they can use their same credentials to log into UAT and test all this stuff and use those personas in this environment. We welcome as many people coming in and getting this stuff tested and using the environment as possible.
Thank you.
It does not auto-generate or open a training service record. What happens is I added my training goal, and as part of doing that, I also went ahead and just added my my step to participate in a training program and added my occupational skills training. By adding my training goal, we have a defined set of training and education goals that when those are added, those trigger the training assessment. We will not, the only thing the training assessment does is it will unlock the training services from being started. So I don't know that the business logic is in yet. They're still working on that. You cannot start a training service until that training assessment has been completed. If that logic is not in there right now, this will obviously work because now it's completed. It is getting done this sprint. But we will not auto add any services because we don't necessarily know the exact right training service to add. So all it is doing is locking and unlocking the ability to start a training service until the assessment has been completed.
Oh, but that's good. But because that's nice because there's the checks and balances then that you couldn't, like if you were trying to rush through with the customer then and create that service record, it's going to tell you, hey, you haven't completed the training assessment. You got to do that first. So that's good.
Yeah, what we want to have happen is on this page, have a red message display before we even start like trying to save. We don't want to necessarily display at time of save because it's a little too late. But we want to be able to display message on the training service that the training assessment has to be completed before the service can be started. And then we want to add some additional like UI pop-ups that when you add a specific goal that triggers the training assessment, but it's going to say, hey, a required training assessment has been added. And then it's only popping up here if it's been triggered, but we want some more UI visibility of that. The work-based learning assessment would also pop up here, like this one, work-based learning hasn't been triggered, that's why we're not seeing it. Does anybody have any other questions? Perfect. I see the comment in the chat. Alrighty, we will get an email sent out to everybody. But as a reminder, we do have everything posted on the resource page here for the open UATs 23. And then on Monday, you'll be getting another email from us. Our plan is Monday. If we find anything not, as you see, I went through the training and the GSA. Things are mostly there. There's a couple required fields and a few things we're tweaking. I doubt we'll run into any major issues. If we do, we don't want to get it out to you until we have it working well. So if you don't get it for any reason on Monday, we will have it out Tuesday, but we anticipate to have that out on Monday, and an email will go out to you all to let you know whenever the GSA and the TQA are ready, and provide you the link to the resource page where those guides will also be posted along with the quick start guides. If you have any questions at all during your testing, please reach out to us as soon as possible so that we can unblock you and get you moving. We are going to be at July 1 before we know it. We will be shutting down all UAT feedback by June 19th, I believe. We'll still be collecting feedback and enhancing the tool, but after June 19th, any feedback we get is going to be too little too late. You will not have time to get anything after that into the system by July 1. We're still working on prioritizing the most critical usability feedback into the system, and we're going to continue to do that through these UATs that will be running through June 19th. June 19th is a holiday, so most people will be out. So we have these wrapped up on June 18th. Is why we have the June 18th days. Our team will have some people working on the 19th, I believe. So the 19th is the hard date for our end to have that UAT feedback into our cards.
And
Any final, go ahead.
oh, no, I'm so sorry, Olivia. I was just gonna say, just a related note for release 22, cycle 3, the customer facing ETPL page. Do we have a little bit until a little bit maybe closer to the end of the afternoon today to get any last minute notes in the notebook on that, or was that a hard stop at noon? For last
Um,
week's UAT on the training provider search page, the new version that we demoed, Andy demoed last week that we're testing for that part of the testing.
Andy, where are you at? If he puts notes in by end of day today, will you be able to grab those, or is that already
Yes.
been?
I will. I looked at them last night, but I haven't done anything with them yet. So today that's on my agenda after I do testing for the training and education assessment.
Oh, thank you very much.
No problem.
Learn,
I'll
learn the
wait for
lesson,
you.
not putting stuff off to the end. We actually lost power. I just was saying at the beginning of the call, we were talking about the weather, and so we lost power for the
A
end
lot
of
of
the
people
afternoon
lost power,
yesterday. And I was
yeah.
like, I knew I shouldn't have waited until Wednesday to do this. So thank you for your
Thank you so
patience.
much.
Yeah, no problem.
A lot of us lost power. I was just thinking the same exact thing. Oh my goodness.
Yep, I heard about it this morning, so I know a lot of people were struggling.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments before we close out for today? All right, well, we'll give you 9 minutes back to your morning after we gave you lots of homework. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Again, reach out to us if you have any issues, and thank you guys for your time.
Thank you so much. This has been extremely helpful.
Good.
Hey,
True.
Olivia.
Yes.
Yeah, I had one question. I don't know if this is the place for it or not, but I just was in a meeting this morning where my admin team was asking me again when they were going to see marketing materials so they can get their IT people working on it.
The marketing materials for
Like the stuff that's supposed to be so that they can update their website, to put the self-service portal in and like all that kind of stuff. Like, do you have an ETA or at least a date that I can give them?
Kelly, do you know the answer to that?
I think
You're
I
wanting
have,
a link to the job seeker page?
Yeah, because I mean, it was talked about in the directors meeting too, that there will be marketing materials coming so that people
Oh,
can
okay.
access the self-service portal and all that kind of stuff. But that's not going to be ready for anybody on July 1st if they don't have, I mean, not everybody has an in-house IT person.
Mhm.
I think we have, Olivia, that letter or not letter, that handout from the summit. I don't know if that would work
It
for
sounds
now,
like
or
it sounds like
is,
Sarah needs to answer this question if it was something discussed on the director call,
okay,
that it's a TA-led initiative.
okay. Yeah, I have a
So,
meeting with her at 1, so I can follow up on that.
Yeah,
okay,
just
if we can't,
anything, yeah, anything that would even give like a date, even if you say, I'm sorry, marketing material is not going to be available until after July 1, at least that's something.
okay.
They just keep asking me and I'm like, I don't know.
I can give you the link that I put the link to the job seeker page in the chat. That is a production link. It is pointed to UAT. It will point to production starting July 1, but it should not be made available to anybody until go live,
Right.
because obviously it will just go into a test environment and get deleted out. Well, maybe not obviously to everybody, but
Right.
that is the link that's the same link that will be used July 1 if they want that to like be prepared for putting that link somewhere. But we'll talk to Sarah about the additional marketing materials I'm not familiar with. Kelly, if you don't get that resolved on the 1 o'clock call, put that on our Monday agenda with the OET and AIR team.
Okay, sounds good. I can do that.
All right. Thank you.
And Kelly, I sent you a question that came up today that I believe I would like Sarah's confirmation on. I'd like to answer and put in the FAQ.
Okay, perfect. I responded with
Oh,
my
you put
question for her,
yeah,
so I don't
perfect.
forget
All
them.
in one place.
Okay.
Cool. Any other question?
I'll get the UAT email for the cycles 1 through 3 out by this afternoon with the recording.
Okay. And the cycle 2 guide needed posted. I believe it was almost
Oh
done.
yeah, I think I got it in there now. If you refresh that page, I'm gonna make sure it's
Awesome.
showing.
I don't think I ever refreshed the page. It just kept coming back to it.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, cool. And then I updated the notebook too. So the notebook
I saw that.
has the stuff in it now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to y'all again next Thursday, if not sooner.
Thank you.